Hello everyone, I'm very excited to bring you some of the first gameplay of the upcoming DLC for Anno 1800 Land of Lions. At a preview event recently, I got a short hands-on with the DLC and the update, and in this video I'm going to be running through all of the features that you can expect from it. So first off, what is Land of Lions? Well, to boil it down, Land of Lions is the final DLC in the second season pass for Anno 1800, along with the Seat of Power and Bright Harvest DLC. Its main features are that it adds a brand new region to the game called Mbessa. Mbessa takes inspiration from East Africa and features two new residential tiers, the Shepherds and the Elders. They of course come with their own unique production chains and fertilities to provide both the basic and luxury needs of the residents. Now, as well as the production chains, the Mbessa region comes with its own unique gameplay mechanics, primarily in the form of irrigation, where you'll have to build canals and pump water across the island in order to grow crops or to enhance existing livestock farms. Mbessa also comes with around 12 hours of story content with quests that have multiple outcomes to enhance replayability. The story weaves a tale between the unique islands of Mbessa, Tabarim, Wahadesha, Kidusi, and Angareb, and their history, where you'll have to choose between the will of the Emperor and the plight of the people. You'll also be visited by some familiar faces, but no spoilers here. And that's not all. Land of Lions also features a third residential tier that's added to the old world, and these are called the Scholars. Scholars are a unique tier of residency that is not upgraded from any other class. Instead, they're completely independent of any upgrades. You can create Scholars once you progress the main storyline of Mbessa to about halfway, and once you build the Research Institute monument, which is built in several stages. After this, you can create Scholar Residences, which provide research points, which can be used in the Research Institute to create almost any item in the game, as well as provide unique benefits, such as the ability to change an island's fertility, create foreign goods at home such as coffee, or relocate resources like clay pits or oil springs. Scholars, of course, have their own unique needs and luxuries as well, which are provided from brand new production chains located in the old world that typically require imports from Mbessa and other high-tier goods. To cap it off, the region of Mbessa also has its own new sets of ornaments and items, as well as new music for the region, giving it a truly unique look and feel. So as you can tell, this is by far the biggest Anno 1800 DLC to date. And a reminder that this video is just a preview. I had a limited time with the DLC, so you can expect a full review closer to release on October 22nd. So let's take a look first at the new irrigation system in Mbessa and what it means for gameplay. The islands of Mbessa all have rivers flowing through them, and the rivers have designated spots where you can build water pumps. These water pumps then support 250 tiles of canals, and the canals will irrigate the soil in all directions around them up to 4 tiles. There's also items that can then improve that as well. Natural lakes and springs will already irrigate their surrounding soil, so ideally you'll want to manage your water network to hit spots that aren't already irrigated. Agricultural farm modules require irrigated soil to even operate, but the farmhouse building that they're attached to don't, so sticking the farmhouse on dry land is an effective way to use the space. Now, unlike agricultural farms that need water, livestock farms don't need water to operate, but if you do irrigate them, they'll increase their efficiency by 100%. So for those who may be wondering, if you own the Bright Harvest DLC, you can also add the silos and the tractor barns to Mbessa farms as well to further increase their productivity. A water canal is also needed to operate a fire station, and instead of proximity, you're going to need to hook it up directly to the water supply. And that's everything the water is used for. It's needed for agri-farms, it can be used to improve livestock farms, and it needs a direct connection for the fire stations. Residences, for instance, never require water, and as far as I could tell, there was nothing else that needed it. It does become a bit more of a juggling act a little later when you introduce clay. Clay is built on the same river deposits as the water pumps, and you'll need clay to make mud bricks, which is used for buildings and pavement. Now you can of course import the clay from the old world if you really wanted to use as many canals as possible, but there's also another building that uses rivers which we'll touch on a little later. So that's the irrigation system. It's pretty straightforward really, but it adds a lot of interesting gameplay where you're trying to maximize the space you have to fit your farms next to rivers and canals, but also have them close to warehouses and other production buildings that are on the dry land. I thought it was a little bit unusual that the town itself doesn't require any water. I assumed there'd be something for residences, which I think would have made for some interesting villages if you had to feed canals between streets, or certain buildings, or near the elder residences. I'll probably just end up doing that anyway, just to make the place look a little nicer if I can. Now, for the residence chains themselves, it's pretty standard fare and similar to the New World and to the Arctic, where there's two primary residential tiers. The first tier is the shepherds. They require goat's milk, finery clothes, and dried meat. The goat's milk comes directly from goat farms. The finery comes from linseed farms that then refine into linen at a linen mill, and then refine into finery made at an embroiderer. The dried meat comes from a sanga farm, which combined with salt from a salt works is refined into dried meat at a dry house. Building all of that sorts out the basic needs of your shepherds. Now again, you'll be looking to use that irrigation system to get the most out of the goat farms and the sanga farms, to effectively double production if possible. It's measured on a per module basis, so you'll need to hit each one with a canal if you want to get the full effects. Now, to fulfill their luxury needs, they just need proximity to a musician's court and have supply of hibiscus tea, which is refined from a hibiscus farm. So the reoccurring theme here is farms. Lots of farms for pretty much everything you need. The elders, as to be expected, are much more complex than the shepherds. Elders require everything that the shepherds do, but also ceramics, seafood stew, illuminated script, and lanterns, and then their luxuries are tapestries, clay pipes, glasses, and proximity to a monastery. Many of these goods require specific fertilities that you'll find on the other islands in Mbessa, such as beeswax, and imports from the Old World and New World, such as glass for the lanterns and cotton for the candles. The illuminated script is a really interesting one because it requires wood from the Old World, rather than the Wanza wood of Mbessa. This is then refined at a paper mill, which is the other building that uses up the valuable water pump slots on rivers, again making it quite a tough balancing act. Now once refined to paper, it's combined with indigo to produce the illuminated script, and this resource then gives you research points from elders, and that's used in the Research Institute in the Old World. So this is a really big interdependent resource with lots of cause and effect to how you set up its production chain. And that leads me nicely to the Research Institute. Now, as I had limited time with the preview build of the DLC, I just didn't get that much time with the Research Institute itself. So I'll have to leave out most of the features for my review in a couple of weeks. But generally speaking, how it works is you get research points from scholars and elders, but there's a cap on how much research points you can store. Now, as you hit bigger milestones of having more scholars, you'll increase that cap so you can take on bigger projects. Now, you can also invest your research points to expand the campus, which will give you the ability to build more scholar residences, as they're actually limited in number. Now, the scholars come with their own production chains, and many will depend on things like linen or sanga meat from Mbessa. And as they get their needs met, they'll grow and produce more research, and also increase that cap. Now, for the Research Institute, as mentioned, you can take on some big projects. You can discover pretty much any item in the game, unless it's like a specific quest item, and then create it by dedicating some engineers to work on it for a certain amount of time. You can also donate items to the Institute that you don't want from anywhere in the game, giving you research points back in return. As I also said, you can now work towards being able to move oil spills or clay pits and change fertilities of your island. It's a really great late game kind of thing to sort out all the issues that you kind of encounter along the way in a normal campaign, like not having the right resource or not getting the right item. There's a few other projects in there as well, but I unfortunately didn't get the time to check them out. Now, the last thing I want to touch on for the Land Alliance DLC is the story. Now, I'll try not to spoil anything here and be pretty quick about describing my time with it. The story has many different layers to it. The Emperor Katima is trying to unite Mbessa's islands, and you'll have to approach the different islands and offer your help. With each one, you'll sort of face a dilemma about preserving their culture versus spreading industrialization. And in some cases, the decisions you make cannot be reversed and will change the landscapes of the islands forever. So if you do pick up the DLC, I urge you to take the time to read the story and prepare before you move the quest lines forward. I made a bit of a mistake not getting something ready in time and failing a quest, which meant one of the islands was left in a ruin for good. Now, the story in Anno is kind of hard to critique. Generally speaking, it's fine, and it's certainly ambitious for this type of game to have multiple outcomes, and really it's a DLC with like branching little bits of story, little narrative scenes where characters move around and things are uncovered. But I just can't help but feel it's a little bit misplaced in this game to some extent. You know, Anno is a logistics management game and a city builder. Except it's one where you can't pause time to build. Everything's done in real time and has a real sense of urgency. When you're asked to stop everything and follow someone walking around telling you the history of their people for almost 10 minutes, I can't help but feel it totally goes against the nature of the game. I have that sense of urgency, like, yeah, come on, I need to get back to building or else I'll fall behind. I can't help but feel that. And I will say though that the story actually had me laugh a couple of times, especially with the character who shows up later and a deep revelation with them. That was one hell of a twist. I have a feeling that there's some very ambitious writers at Blue Byte who probably feel a bit constrained with the project that they work on. It almost makes me want to see them do some sort of RTS game with their engine, because their game looks really beautiful and I think it's totally capable of telling an interesting story. I said that would be the last thing to mention, but actually, I gotta say that the game just looks as stunning as ever. I think the Arctic may still be my favorite place aesthetically, but Enbesa has great character in its ruins, monuments, palaces, and wilderness, as well as the wildlife dotted around it. Many of the quests will get you to explore the little nooks and crannies of the region, and you'll see how much effort and attention to detail has really gone into it. The same is true of the buildings, they really are just packed with detail. And there's also some new Easter eggs in the game for fans of first-person mode, but I'll let people discover what they are for themselves, though I can't help but show off my new method of dispersing crowds. That's it for my video on the upcoming DLC Land of Lions. The DLC is out on the 22nd of October. I've done a review for every Anno 1800 DLC so far, and if you're new to the game, I have, I think, the most viewed guide for the game, unless I've been passed out by someone. But if you're a long-time fan or a total newbie, I've got you covered, and I couldn't be more happy than when I make videos for Anno, because I just love the game. Alright, that's it for me. Make sure to subscribe if you want to get more Anno videos and more videos on strategy games and city builders like this. Join my Discord to continue the conversation there. Leave a like or a comment to let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.